sign it and look up.
Okay, you want to sign and look up? They won't be able to tell if it's just a photo, but it's okay.
It's hard for me to believe what happened today, but Danielle Smith showed her real colors. Has she committed political suicide? I believe so. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. Tonight, we are joined by Charter Investment Manager, author of Alberta Rising, and political advocate for Alberta independence. And yes, you guessed it, it's Nadine Wellwood. Nadine, what is going on? Thanks for being on the show.
You're very welcome. As you can see,
Nadine, how's it going? Good to see you again.
going to be doing a present. Good to see you too.
So
you have me from my car tonight. I'm doing a presentation, so I'm forgive the environment.
Yeah. No. I mean, hey, as long as you're here, we're happy.
Are you recording? Are you holding your phone right now?
I am.
Do me a favor and swap it, flip it old school.
Go to landscape.
Yeah, there you go. There we have you.
Okay, yeah, that actually.
Oh yes. So I was doing a live covering the press conference, the mess that happened today. I don't know even how to describe the mess that I saw today, but I was covering the event with Jason Levine, and as I was reviewing my notes afterwards, I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to talk about this tonight. That's for damn sure. And I give him a call, and I'm like, do you know somebody that got balls that's ready to talk about the mess that we saw today? She's like, bro, Nadine does. I call you, and the reception you gave me over the phone, I'm like, fuck yes. So I'm going to send it to you right away. What did you think of what happened? How would you describe the circus we saw today?
Well, I think the reality is it doesn't come as a shock for me. I've been raising the warning signs and waving the red flags now for some time around Danielle Smith. So many people are insistent that she is an Alberta separatist. She is indeed not a separatist. At what point are you going to wake up to the reality that she means what she says on that front? And I think today really just boiled down to that was 100% proof and evidence that Danielle is playing politics and not necessarily looking out for the best interests of Alberta, and has no intention of following through on Alberta independence.
After what you said today, I would agree.
Takeaway from this, because I did some reading into it, and there's a couple parts to it. Right? There's a talk of a pipeline. Now, how likely that is, I think there's some people saying Carney's probably being a little too sly here. He knows Ebby will probably veto it, so he can kind of have the best of both worlds. He doesn't actually have to build a pipeline, and he gets to do David Ebby to do his dirty work and say, hey, what can I do? But what for those of us who didn't watch the announcement, could you kind of maybe just talk us through the bullet points of what everything that happened here?
Well, one of the things too, to your point about Mark Carney being sly, you could actually take exactly what you just said and apply that, Rob, to Danielle Smith. So Danielle Smith here is trying to ride the fence between looking like she's doing something on the Alberta independence and referendum movement. And this is really a great stall tactic for her to say, hey, look, we're making progress. Hopefully for her, it's still like she's trying to do something, but at the same time accomplishing nothing. There were 9 demands that Danielle Smith had made. None of those 9 demands have been met, none. And a memorandum of understanding is not a deal. And if you read through the fine print of that, there is a tremendous number of potentially if this, then that. And I mean, this could go on for a decade. So this is nothing but a nothing burger. There is nothing in this that should excite any Albertan. And it really just enables Danielle to continue on with this game that she's playing, in my opinion, of riding the fence between trying to keep separatists happy and still those who are, the NDP and, those conservatives that want to stay in Canada. So, exactly what you said there about Carney, you could just replace the name with Danielle Smith and you have the exact same games that are being played on both sides.
Interesting.
One of the things we need to make clear for the people out there is that the MOU, or the Memorandum of Understanding, is non-binding. Legally, it has as much weight as the toilet paper I use to wipe my ass. That's basically what the piece of paper we saw them sign like clowns. And that's why I made sure to show it in the intro, because they were having a lot of fun. Even, I don't know if you heard that, if it came through the video, but basically Danielle Smith is telling Mark Carney to look up. So sign the document, look up, and they're like, but what it's a picture, they won't know. So they were very, very chummy. And he just left. He signed the paperwork, didn't say a word, left. Then it cut. We waited 20 minutes. It went to a presser that she gave. And I want to get your opinion on a new style of land acknowledgement that she used by spending 3 minutes acknowledging all the native people in her cabinet, all the MPs naming their tribes, and even thanking the native leaders in the crowd. Has she given a land? Do you think that was a land acknowledgement? Because that's what I think it was.
You know what? To me, I'm a big advocate of one rule of law applies to everybody. So, you acknowledge the people that need to be acknowledged based upon their contribution to the exercise or the project. This has nothing to do with Aboriginal. This has nothing to do with, what you were born into or your race. It shouldn't have anyway. So Danielle has always been, an advocate of land acknowledgements, even right now with the fact that, we have a referendum question that's in front of the courts. Why? Because the UCP legislation dictates it to be there. UCP legislation, sections 1 through 35.1 of the Constitution, any referendum question is apparently not allowed to challenge those sections. So in essence, saying that you cannot have a referendum question on independence. And that's well within her control to change that. So, when you look at all of these things and you add them up, she is definitely not a friend, in my opinion, of Alberta independence. And that definitely, in my opinion, was just, again, she is a very sophisticated politician. She is playing every role here that she needs to play for every individual group that's of interest. And I'll give her credit. She's keeping it together. She's got people convinced that, she's a separatist who are federalists. She got people who are federalists who think she's a separatist. And depending on who you talk to and whom she's talking to, she shifts the message accordingly to make sure that it appears that she is on their side. And that is politics. And she is very sophisticated at playing this game. The problem is you have to see through the game and understand where she's at and what she's willing to do. And with respect to Carney and what just happened, she made 9 demands. She put a date. She shifted that date. That date is come and gone. Now it's come and gone again. And we have not yet to accomplish one of those 9 things. And today was a bunch of theatrics and political theater that said, hey, look at this. We're great. We're making progress. We're moving forward. And yet an MOU means absolutely nothing.
Do you think that was the plan all along? Because again, as a conspiracy theorist,
Nadine. Oh, you go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, as a conspiracy theorist, as I was listening to her speak for an hour today, I could not stop but imagine that was the plan all along. She was literally telling us to trust Mark Carney. She was telling us that the MOU, she was hoping that it would put a stop to the independent movement in Alberta. She was talking about how there's no veto power in that documentation. Bullshit, because she uses the word consultation instead with David Eby and the native tribes. Because we all know they don't want to tank her. Like, they don't want to tank her port in BC, and they just reaffirmed that over the past couple of days. So do you think that was the plan all along?
Absolutely. So let's be clear here. Mark Carney, she introduces Mark Carney like he's brand new to politics. Mark Carney has been advising, puppet man there, Justin Trudeau, for 5 years. So the mess that the UK is in is the mess that we have now find ourselves in. And now that Mark Carney, the puppet master, has been put into place, this is escalating like very, very quickly. But let's be very clear. Mark Carney has been involved in politics for the last 5 years. He's been the one advising Justin Trudeau on that front. Danielle Smith sat no more than 10 feet away from me, was asked about Alberta separation, and point blank said, "It is my job to make sure you do not get there." So, is this a game? Yeah, she is trying to stall. She's trying to deflate the energy, the momentum from this movement by kicking the ball down the court a little further each time without having to commit to doing anything. Now, people can say, well, she has to do that for political reasons. No, she doesn't. She could have simply said, you know what, I'm going to do what Albertans wish. So I'm going to give them a referendum question, made it very easy for them to do so, and been honest about it and said, whichever direction Albertans want to go, that's the direction that I'm going to take. She could have personally said, hey, look, I am not a separatist, I'm a federalist, but if that is the direction Albertans wanted to take, we are going to entertain it. Everybody has a right to have a say. We're going to do the referendum question. She's trying to prevent the referendum question. Now that begs the question, why? Absolutely begs the question, why is she trying to prevent the referendum question? Because she knows there is a tremendous amount of support. Nobody here trusts Mark Carney or anything the Liberal government has to say, nor should we. And, she is now providing obstacles in the path of Albertans to prevent us from actually having that question come in front of every Albertan and let us decide.
So Danielle, as clearly, you're working with the separatist movement. This is something you believe in. Up until today, how would you say you felt about Danielle Smith on this issue? Did you, because we've talked to other people like Jason Levine, who's clearly very in favor of separation, and he, I think probably best described would be Luke. He wasn't opposed to her. He thought she was doing an okay job threading a tough needle. I suspect his opinion has changed after today, but. Does this surprise you? Did you kind of always see this from Danielle Smith, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, this comes as no surprise to me. I raised the red flag more than a year ago. I basically been raising the red flag for a couple of years now, but I started the 1905 committee quite some time back, and we really did a really hard push to educate people to the fact that Danielle Smith, words do not lead into action with her. And so, there was a lot of pretty words, there was a lot of promises made, and we bought out, then all the promises that had not been fulfilled. And I honestly believe that they would not have been fulfilled. And I have proven to be absolutely right on that front. And we challenged her leadership last year, where she rallied the troops, and people were afraid of, if not her, then who, and came to her rescue. But the reality is, I think today, more people are now waking up to what a mistake that might have been, is to have just ignored the warning signs early. So for me, it's a matter of Albertans deserve to have a leader that is actually going to take a position that is going to lead. There is a difference between management and leadership. And Danielle, she doesn't do anything until she gets safety in the polls. And that's not leadership. That's managing right now, in my opinion, a state of decline. And I'm going, leadership, here is the vision. This is what we're building on. It's not this, oh, we're afraid the NDP is going to get in. That's just scare tactics. And I'm going, to me, you win a game when you have the courage enough to say what your vision is, and then the courage and the smarts enough to actually share that vision with other people and stick to your principles. And that's the problem I see with Danielle Smith, is she doesn't have any principles.
She sounds exactly like Pierre Poilievre. Like, to me, the supporters of Pierre Poilievre are going to have... So the supporters of Danielle Smith are going to have to play the same mental gymnastic as they're doing right now to try to excuse everything that Pierre Poilievre is not doing as the Conservative leader. So unfortunately, I think this is going to happen in Alberta. But the question I have for you is kind of a two-part question. First, do you think she committed political suicide today by exposing who she really is? Because she clearly... asked us to trust Mark Carney. She pushed the green agenda by saying that the solution to reducing world carbon emissions is carbon capture technology through pathways. By the way, that's a technology that Brookfield is heavily involved in, not pathways per se, but they bought their own company for billions of dollars. She's producing a new carbon tax on April 1st. She even said that it will go higher after April 1st, but they couldn't do it all at once because it was too much. And the end date of that pipeline, if you look at the MOU, is 2040. 2040. That's the end date for the construction of that pipeline. So, one, do you think that she committed political suicide today? And I also want to know what you expect to happen at the AGM over the weekend.
Well, I'm very excited to see what happens at the AGM because that will answer the question of political suicide for me. There are some people who it does not matter what Danielle Smith does, they are going to support Danielle Smith. They continue to make excuses for her. They can't see past the fact that we may need to replace her, I think, at the UCP as the leader, because again, this whole environmental kind of slant, and I'm an environmentalist. Look, if we can be doing something for the environment, we should be doing it for the environment. If we can do it better, then we need to do it better. We should be protecting our animals. We should be protecting our environment. Why? Because we were put on this planet to be stewards. To be stewards means you have to be responsible ownership. So I'm all for that. But this whole climate change and carbon capture and all this other stuff, this is a costly experiment that is only going to cost the taxpayer. But Mark Carney goes on and on and on about there are countries lining up to do business with us. But yet, for some reason, he can't give the name of one country. Just one. Just give me one country of which you have signed a deal with that wants to invest and do business with Canada. He can't do that. Why? Because none exist. So this is all political theater. It is all rhetoric. Whether she committed political suicide, I would love to say yes to that answer, but honestly, I'm going to say no. I don't think she did. I think more people are waking up. I think what she is doing, though, is she is creating such a deep division between the united Conservative Party, which is not so united. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see people who are basically going to leave the United Conservative Party because it is becoming more woke, more liberal, trying to find that center. She's not making any real decisions and, showing us a path forward definitively as to a conservative path anyway. And I think this is going to leave a big gap and a big opening for the NDP.
Wow. One of my favorite books is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. And he explains in this masterpiece of evilness that one of the worst thing that you can be is in the middle. At least if you're going to be my opponent, I know where you stand and I will respect you for what you're standing for. You know where I stand because I am your enemy. But there's nothing worse than somebody that tries to walk the line and never take a decision because you cannot be trusted. Nobody likes somebody that's lukewarm. If you're a Christian, you get spit out for being a lukewarm. And that's exactly what I saw, what I thought I saw before today. But today she became a liberal. Anybody out there that believes that Danielle Smith is a conservative, you need to have your head examined or at least go check the definition of what a conservative is in the dictionary because she is as bad as Pierre Poilievre. That's what she showed me today.
Well, my big thing is consistency. People, when they look to make a decision, want to know that when they're voting for someone or they've made a decision, that really you're placing a bet, right? So you're looking at the consistency. You want to know who this person is, what they stand for. And this is the problem with Danielle Smith, is that she's losing, I think, the conservative vote and dividing the party because she is not consistent. She is unpredictable in her behavior. One minute she's all over Mark Carney. The next minute she's doing things that are somewhat conservative, but she's not consistent. So that's going to create a lot of instability, I think, and raise a lot of questions for people. And this whole, climate change and carbon capture, I mean, you have to understand that it doesn't matter who you tax. You can tax the industrial aspect of it, but it's the taxpayer in the end that still pays, whether it's an indirect tax or a direct tax. All she is doing, again, they're playing political games. So we are going to make the industry, the service provider here, the bad guy for increasing their rates, right? But they have no choice because they have to increase rates. Why? Because they just slapped a huge tax upon them, and that has to flow through to the taxpayer. So it's no different than Mark Carney playing the language Smith game of, it is in a generational investment. Debt is debt. If you have to borrow money, for a capital expenditure, then call it what it is. It's a debt. It's not an investment. So, they're both completely playing the exact same playbook here. Just one's doing it at a provincial level, one's doing it, and they are both kind of, in my opinion, trying to, put this Alberta independence movement to bed. But I think realistically, I'm hopeful anyway that we are going to see more and more people see through what happened today and recognize that we may have to we have to seriously consider replacing Danielle Smith as the leader of the UCP. And I don't mean that because she's a bad person. I just think from a political standpoint, there is no leadership, there is no vision, there's inconsistency in the decisions being made. And the decisions that I saw made today did not serve Albertans. They did not put Albertans first. They put Mark Carney and Danielle Smith as premier, protecting her position first.
So Nadine, where does the separatist movement go from here? Is this a huge setback? Do you think? Does this not a bump in the road? Does it not affect it at all? And I think up until now there was a sense that Danielle Smith maybe wasn't going to push for it, but she wasn't going to get in the way. And has that changed? You kind of think maybe now she might be more of an obstacle than a pass-through?
Danielle has always been an obstacle. The Referendum Act and the Citizens Initiative Act both have clauses in there that virtually make asking an honest, to the point referendum question on independence almost impossible, which is why we're seeing the courts play out now. That had to end up in the courts only because the provincial government has legislation in place that made sure it had to go there. So they could have changed legislation to get rid of the constitutional sections 1 through 35.1 and allowed that question to flow through. They made no effort to do this. So again, though, Danielle went, we've reduced the number to 177,000. Well, that doesn't matter if you've got obstacles that prevent the question from being asked to begin with. So again, this, in my opinion, is all political theater.
So
and she's
what
smart.
do you...
The UCP is not stupid. They're very smart.
And that I agree with you 100%. If there's one thing I cannot take away from that woman is that she's smart, which is the worst type of politician. I would take a Justin Trudeau over a Mark Carney any day of the week because he's an idiot. Everybody knows he's an idiot. He's the puppet. He's not the person in control. But if you look at Danielle Smith, she's smart. She knows how to play the game. And it scares the hell out of me. Because I had faith in Alberta. I gotta tell you, Nadine, until this morning, I was like, you know what? Maybe Alberta, I can move there one day. I can stay in Canada and maybe not go to prison for not liking my politicians. And today I'm like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck?
Well, we'll have to make sure we get conjoining.
There goes your escape route, your escape plan.
Yeah. So here's the reality, though. Danielle Smith has nothing to do with the separation movement. This is a grassroots movement, and there is more and more people getting on that train every day. And I honestly believe that what she did today, more people are going to get on that Alberta independence train and are going to push her harder. Danielle Smith has got a decision to make. Either she's going to get on board, as she used to say about Ralph Klein, find the parade and get in front of it, or she's going to risk her own position. And it boils down to this. If she does not find a way to unite and to actually do what the UCP members want her to do, which the majority are very, very clear. They want a referendum question. So if she wants to continue to be an obstacle to that path, then she's going to find herself either on the outside looking in, or she is going to watch this party divide, maybe potentially see even another separatist party start up. I mean, the Alberta Prosperity Project has a party name registered. Okay, just putting that out there. So the reality is we could, in my opinion, and it will be the result of Danielle Smith trying to ride the middle line, see an NDP government here in our next election.
That seems to be scaring a lot of people in Alberta, that the NDP could potentially take over after what happened today, because they're trying to take seats away in a fashion I've never heard before. But one of the things that Jason said on our live today when we're covering this event is that he sees Danielle Smith calling for a snap election to make sure that she can save face, keep her spot. And he's saying that in his opinion, she would do it very fast, like prior to April 1st. So the AGM over the weekend is going to be very telling. But what do you think of his hypothesis? Does it hold any ground?
I don't necessarily think she believes her position is being questioned or threatened at the moment. So I don't, she's very confident in, you know, her ability to kind of manage the politics. So I think, and the UCP is, in my opinion, almost a little bit too arrogant with their position. So I don't see that. I mean, anything is possible. And I'm really, honestly, I'm looking forward to the UCP AGM. I honestly wasn't even going to go, but of course, because I have my new book, I'm like, I'm going to go, I'm going to promote it. And now I am so glad I'm going to be there, because that room and the sentiment in that room is going to be very, very telling, I think, for the future, not only of the UCP, but Danielle Smith herself. It'll be a fun time you should join us. Fun time to be in Alberta, especially at an AGM.
You have to come back on Monday. Jason's going to be there. He's going to be at the AGM too. He's going to come on Monday. So you should accept the invitation I sent your way, or I'm sending again your way right now, on Monday, to show up and give us your impressions, because very interesting time. You know, one of our followers is always saying that Canada is the most interesting reality show on TV. I couldn't agree more, and it keeps on giving. So thank you for being here, Nadine. I don't know if you have any words, you have something that you want to say before you leave, but we're bang on time. You have a presentation to go give, so yep. I want to be recognizant of
anything
your
to plug.
time.
No, I just want to say, you know what, guys, you know, good for you guys for staying on top of this, because the reality is so many people are not paying enough attention. So it is time for people to start seeing past the pretty words and the photo ops, because I said when Carney got in, you're going to see a lot of photo ops. It's going to sound really great. It's going to look really great. But you know what? Nothing is going to get done. And unfortunately, it looks like Danielle is buying into that. So, you know, stay on top of it. And yes, I will get back to you on Monday, and it won't be from my car. So have a great night, you guys.
Same to you, Nadine. Bye.
Hey,
enjoy.
thanks so much, Nadine. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Rob. Bye.
Bye. So there you have it, man. What did you think?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a fan. And she wasn't even in the back room anymore. I kicked her out before I said that. I'm a fan. As soon as I called her, she's like, Nico. I'm like, you want to talk about what happened today? You could hear it in her voice that she was excited. So yeah, great. I really like her. Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, I like her style. No nonsense. You know, and it's nice to get that sort of insider look. She certainly knows her stuff on this topic for sure.
Yeah, well, she knows Danielle Smith personally, right?
I certainly Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, they know each other. So it's always good to have inside information because she, like she was saying, she's been saying this about Danielle Smith for at least a year. She was saying that at the AGM last year, saying, guys, she is not what she appears. That woman is ballsy. Like Nadine Wellwood got balls. She is a courageous woman and she's not worried about giving her opinion. That's for damn sure. I could see, you know, I'd vote for somebody like her. I'd vote for somebody like Nadine.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. She's yeah. No, she. You know, it's always she certainly fits in with the show, in with the vibe of the show very well. I was reading the comments there. I think a lot of the audience really appreciated her. So yeah, no, it was. It's always great when she comes on the show. That's wild though about Danielle Smith. I did not see that coming, to be honest. Yeah, we've been singing Danielle Smith praises for quite a while. She's we've kind of been saying, you know, walking a very difficult political tightrope, and I guess you know, she her luck ran out, and she went too far in one direction.
Yeah, and to me, she committed political suicide, but as Nadine was saying, and as you see with Pierre Poilievre every day, I don't know what a politician has to do today to really destroy their career. Because Mark Carney has done nothing for 10 months. He's still loved by the people that voted for him. Pierre Poilievre hasn't done anything in forever. Still, he's loved by the people, so chances are the same thing's going to happen to Danielle Smith, but I'm very curious to see what the results, what the vibe at the AGN over the weekend is going to be. Because those are all people that are conservative.
That'd be very curious. That'd be very curious. Because I think she's, you know, I think she's very smart. And I don't necessarily even see this as a huge blunder if you look at it from a polling perspective. Like I suspect she probably has done her research and she probably knows more or less how this is going to be received. And you know, I think there's certainly some you know, potential upside. Like if the idea this pipeline actually gets built, I think that would be great for Alberta and would actually be great for Danielle Smith. I think the issue is it's an MOU, which is essentially a promise to make a promise to make a promise to make a promise. It's not
Yep.
It's not anything concrete. So we'll see. I agree. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the AGM goes and see what the vibe is.
You know, I'm going to take this comment from Mr. Zeke 101. I guarantee she knew from the start he was going to pull this stunt. You know, after what I saw today, I think she was in on it the whole time and she was just playing the game. She was just politicking, and a lot of us got screwed because at the end of the day, they're all part of a club that we're not part of. I say this all the time. The problem that we're looking at today is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom. And man, I want to have faith in people.
Absolutely.
I want to be an optimistic, but man, today I had a bit of faith in her, and that didn't go well today. That was not good.
Yeah. She, you know, she definitely came out. You know, she's been pretty. At least as far as I'm concerned, I thought she kind of walked the tightrope well, where she didn't. It didn't appear to me, at least, that she was standing in the way of the separatist issue. She didn't throw her hat in for it. Now, that said, Nadine, who's obviously knows more about this topic than I do, she's kind of there on the front lines. She says, you know, she wasn't surprised. She says that she always saw Danielle Smith as an obstacle. So, you know, we're, you know, from 10,000 feet up in the air where we're watching this from, to me, I thought she's kind of was walking that well, but you know, as Nadine, who's right on the front line, she says, wasn't. She always, always saw it as an obstacle. So it's interesting to get that perspective.
Well, I tend to follow politics on the federal level. I read the bills that are being tabled. We have lawyers, constitutional lawyers coming on the show to explain to us what we're reading to make sure we understand it and we can ask questions. But I gotta say, I've never done that on the provincial level of Alberta. I don't live in Alberta, so I don't pay as much attention to the bills themselves, right? I'll watch the videos, I'll try to understand, I'll ask questions. But what Nadine was saying is that even as part of her new policies, yes, she did downgrade the amount of votes that are needed in order to trigger a referendum. But as per what Nadine is saying, as per that same policy, there are parts of the policy that are preventing that from really triggering a real referendum. And that's why that policy is in court right now being debated. So those are the things that I wouldn't have known because I did not look at the actual legislation and read on the legislation. I allowed others to tell me what it was about. I need to do that more on the provincial level, especially in Alberta. So I think we all got played, man. I think a lot of people got played. And that's a question I have for the people out there, for the listeners right now. Do you feel played by Danielle Smith? Did you see it coming? Do you just not trust politicians as a whole? Were you surprised by what happened today? Because I was surprised. It surprised me.
Just me. He says, yes, you guys are wrong. So I believe it's your first time here, Just me. Welcome to the show. We encourage all kinds of questions, agreement, disagreement, but you got to show your work. So what do we have wrong? What's your take on it? For the rest of you guys, if you tell us how you feel about today. This is a good comment too here from Dan. Says, listen, boys, she's trying to save her bacon. She's fast losing support from Canadian Albertans that are the majority. I didn't perceive her whatsoever as being overtly, obviously on the side of separatists. So I'm kind of surprised that she would be losing support among, let's call them loyalists, if you want to call them that, or Canadian Albertan. I don't know. Are you from Alberta, Dan? Did you perceive her as too much on the side of the separatists? And do you like this move from her? At the end of the day, she is a politician, right? She's going to do what if she feels her career is in jeopardy, then she's going to do something that she thinks is going to save it. That's her right, and it's our right to criticize that or defend it as we see fit.
She played it well. She's a smart girl. Even Nadine agreed to that. Like, she is not an idiot, and she walked the line. The impression that I had was that she wasn't necessarily for the independence of Alberta, but she would not stand in the way of it if that's what Albertans want.
That's how I saw it.
That's how I saw it. Keep in mind, I don't trust politicians from the get-go. I never do. If you're a politician, I distrust you from the get-go. I don't want to trust you. I don't want to do business with you. But I thought that she did a phenomenal job at walking the line. But today she exposed herself 100,000%. And I strongly believe that was, after what I saw today, that was the intent. And this, I have no proof. This is a conspiracy theory. Nobody's told me this. I am just making it up. So don't hold me accountable for what I'm saying. This is entertainment purposes. But sounds to me that she got a fat paycheck and she got paid to leave. Because I don't see how she will stick around after this. I just don't see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends what the real numbers on separatism are. If Nadine, I think most people, and like Nadine, like Jason Levine, who are on the separatist side, they seem to think, because anytime we're talking to them, that there's maybe not hidden is the right word, but kind of a quiet a quiet majority, or at least a large minority of people who are not maybe showing up in the polls, but who do believe it. And I think, this will probably give us that answer of how big it is, or if they're the side that the Jasons and the Nadines of the world believe, because I think it'll be interesting to watch Danielle Smith's poll numbers after this, because for the first time, she really seems like she picked a side. And again, she's been walking that line, and that's been a tough tightrope that she always had to come down one way or the other. She wasn't going to be able to walk that tightrope forever. And it'll be really interesting to watch her polls. It'll be interesting to watch and see what the AGM, the vibe is there, what people are talking about there. It'll be, it's wherever you stand on it. It's fascinating stuff. It's pretty, for people like us who talk about this for a living, this is a great day. This is the kind of stuff you hope for.
Yeah, but I hoped it wasn't going to happen in Alberta. That's the part that bothers me. Is I thought Alberta was a place I could potentially move to if I wanted to stay in Canada. I had hopes. I still do, don't get me wrong, because I think there are a lot of separatists in Alberta that could potentially make it happen, but it seems that the plan has been pushed further down the line, right? So even if you want independence, it's like they almost have to start from the get-go.
Yeah. Now, so Just Me says, mark my words, she is for separation. Now I've got other people. I forget where. Abby's Aylord says she's a Federalist. So I mean, we don't even agree on what side she's leaning on. For the people listening, where do you think that she's? To me, it seems pretty clear that she's come down on the Federalist side. I'm not really sure how you could come to the conclusion that she's a separatist after today. I'd like to hear what you guys think, especially if you guys are from Alberta, because obviously you're right there, sort of on the front lines, and you have that sort of inside look. We're from out east. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Nico's from Montreal, so we're watching it from afar. We are. I think we are pretty engage in this topic, and we made a conscious effort to address it, or to cover this issue pretty heavily back with Carney Select, but we're still not there, right? We're still on the ground, so we can't really as clearly as people who are on the ground. So it's always good to get that feedback from people who are in Alberta.
100%. And we both identified this as a problem that we knew wouldn't be covered properly by the rest of media, which is why we're always going to talk about what's going on in Alberta, because it is a big deal.
Yeah.
If Alberta leaves Canada, Canada is fucked. I would much rather Alberta does not leave, like we've said a million times, for Canada's sake. But I understand why they would. I fully support Alberta. Oh yeah, I fully support why Alberta would leave. So it's very interesting, and just looking at the comments kind of proves the point that she's done such a great job at walking the line. The people that believe she's a Federalist, or like she's a Federalist, obviously look at what happened today. There's still people out there, and obviously we can see the comments, that believe that she's a separatist. So she is a smart girl. She knew exactly what she was doing. I don't underestimate people, so I think she's still walking the line. But I'm very, very, very curious to see how she does, or how she's received at the AGN over the weekend. I'm really curious, because this is in Alberta. This is where the people that voted for her are, and they're going to be gathered in the same building. I want to see how they feel about what happened today.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just want to say, take this comment from Bill Cross. He said, do you guys honestly think you can start a movement from YouTube? Or are you just about ideas? Brother, what are you talking about? We're not trying to start a movement. This is a politics culture podcast. We do a show. We're just talking about what's going on. There's no movement here, man. But with that said, guys, if you are watching the show, especially if you're in for the first time, welcome to the show. Get those comments in there. That was heavily based on audience engagement, audience participation. But what the show is all about is where left meets right can get together for civil discourse and kind of talk about politics and culture in a little bit of a more productive way than you're going to find on pretty much the rest of the internet. I am a liberal. Nico's a conservative. Yeah, we're going to disagree on some things, but we're going to find common ground where we can and do it respectfully. So if you agree with that mission, if you want to support this community, please consider becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube for the low price of $2.99. You can also support the show just by sticking around and give us your questions. As you can see, we're taking a long don't do this. Trying to start a movement, whatever you want, man. We'll take it. But just make sure to get those in. Nico, do you want to do the do you want to do the sponsor?
Yeah, but before we do, I want to take Bill Cross's comment if you want to bring it back up, because yes, you can start a movement
I'll find
on
that.
YouTube. You can definitely start a movement on social media. Don't be fooled by the fact that there's 8,000 followers on the YouTube channel compared to the 200,000 that I have on other platforms. Don't be fooled, bro. Yes, you can start a movement on social media. That is the beauty of social media. If you know what you're doing, I've been flown all over the fucking country in Canada and both the US. Why? Because I do what we're doing right now. Don't be fooled. Don't think that because you can't do it, that others can't. That's the thing. A movement is always started by people that are capable of putting things into words. And social media is one of the greatest gifts for people that are trying to change something. They're trying to make a change. And I guarantee you, man, if you look at politics today, you look at the type of politicians that are there are all lifelong politicians that always been in politics. They study political science in university, or they're lawyers. Those type of politicians, if you want to replace them, if you know that what they're doing is wrong, I'm telling you, the next politicians are going to come from the social media sphere. We can do you understand that social media people reach more than mainstream media that is actually sponsored by the government by hundreds of millions of dollars? You can just go look at the reach that some social influencers have, and they have more reach than some of the biggest platform in the world. Don't be fooled, man. It is possible to start something online because people are watching. You're here. You know, as much as you're laughing about the idea of starting a movement on YouTube, you're still here. You're still commenting. You're still watching. So say what you will. There's an interest out there. And the irony is that you're proving it. So yes, it's possible. 100%. 100% it's possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'll take this comment here from Dan. It says the separatists are just malcontents that have nothing to complain about. No, I don't agree with that, man. You know, my personal take, and I've said this before, is I don't want Alberta to separate. You know, I'm a Canadian. I think I you know, clearly we would be fucked if Alberta did leave, and I wanted to say it again. That said, you can't say there's not a legitimate beef that Albertans have. They have been treated horribly by the rest of Canada, and it's kind of this attitude that's really fueling that separatist. Like, you know, look, you've got this Canada East pipeline, or Energy East pipeline, a couple of years back that was vetoed by Quebec, right? Quebec, the province in the country that gets how many billions of years of equalization payments paid for almost entirely by Alberta. So they're happy to take that 10 or 12 billion a year. When it comes time to actually help Alberta, though, generate that money, they say, no, we don't want to do it. By the way, though, make sure that check keeps coming. But you can get fucked if you want another pipeline here. Like, that's garbage, man. That's nonsense. That you can't treat people like that. You can't treat provinces like that. Regardless of how you feel about separatism, and I oppose it in the sense that I don't want Alberta to separate, and obviously it's not my decision. I'm not an Albertan, but to say they don't have a legitimate beef that's nonsense. Absolutely, they have a legitimate beef.
100%. And you know, I like this comment right here. Zakes is saying Quebec receives too much money from Alberta while constantly lecturing them. I agree, and I live half of my life in Quebec, half of my life in Ontario, and I can tell you that both those provinces are taking advantage of Alberta while preventing them from fully developing their oil sands.
Yep.
It's absolutely insane to say, I'll take the money, but I don't want you to work. So they have been getting screwed for more than a decade.
Yeah.
And for people to say that they don't have a legitimate reason to leave, you are fucking insane. Get your head checked. Because they do have many fucking reasons. Like, how much time does a woman need to spend with a guy that's beating her? Does she need to forgive him every time he does it? Or at one point, should she leave? Because that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing. I don't want Alberta to leave. I don't. It's gonna fuck Canada. But do I understand why? Yeah. Fuck, I see it why. They're getting fucked every fucking way to Sunday. They're always getting fucked. So, yeah, 100%, man. I hope it happens so that Canadians can learn what they had.
You got to treat people with respect, and you got to treat provinces. Yeah.
Amen to that, man.
100%.
Amen to that.
But yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%. You know, it's true. Well, Trevor Benson says then stop those payments. Yep. I think Alberta would love to. I don't know that they're able to, as long as they're within Canada, and that's one that's right. Is they essentially have to be paying billions and billions from a country to the rest of provinces, who then turn around and treat them like shit. They're not even appreciative of it. They won't help them at all generate more money. But by the way, make sure that check's in the mail. And they don't have a say in it. I think as long as you're in the Dominion of Canada, you have to pay those equalization bill payments, and that, I think, is a large part of the discontent within Alberta.
You know, at least if Ottawa would let them develop their oil sands as much as they wanted, build all the pipelines that they need in order to hit the world market. They have the third largest reserve of oil and gas in the world, and we've been handcuffing them from using it. How frustrating must that be? I remember, man, 20 years ago, when my buddies, we were early 20s, they were all leaving to go to Alberta. They would leave from Quebec to go to Alberta to work on those oil sands. And they made a shit fucking ton of money. Those guys would spend a few months over there, come back, they'd be making a boatload of cash. They would be fucking living it up. All they did is work, and obviously that's not easy work. But, man, it's insane that there's some Canadians out there that don't think we've done them wrong, that they have no reasons to complain, that they're just little bitches complaining, that they have no reasons to be pissed off. Absolutely insane to me. We just have a few minutes left. I'm going to take the time to obviously thank our sponsor. So our sponsor, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gabble, the world's first live video debate app on the market. You can choose to sit back and watch, or you can do like I do and debate people. Because Gabble is just like us. They believe in civil discourse. And it really doesn't matter if you agree or you disagree. Actually, you should disagree. Go to Gabble and disagree with people, but do it politely. So if you're interested, look in the description below. Our affiliate link is there. And by encourage Gabble, you're encouraging us. Now, before we go, I wanted to speak about, just to give an update on, yesterday we were talking about how Quebec is going to table today a bill to prevent street prayers, like public prayers, and there was a bunch of other things that they were planning about doing. The bill was tabled today, but unfortunately the written copy has not been published yet, so I was not able to read through it to see what the details are. So I just wanted to give an update. It's been tabled, it's been looked at, but on Sunday, the next show's on Sunday, and I'm gonna do my best to have, hopefully it's published on by Sunday and I can go through it and talk about it. So to address Zagzies, when's the next live stream? It's on Sunday. We do Sunday to Thursday, 8
Sunday
p.m.
night.
Eastern time. But I do have a mashup on Saturday, which is going to be a fucking good one because we're talking about radical Islam in Canada. So mashup 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday night right here. We have a panel of guests that are going to show up, but that's going to be a fucking banger. That's one of the topics that I speak about almost every fucking day. So I cannot fucking wait to speak about radical Islam.
Yeah, no, it should be a good one. But yeah, just to echo Nico there, we're 5 days a week. We're Sunday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time to 10 p.m. Lots of new people here on the stream, lots of new faces. I assume Nadine grabbed drew a lot of new faces. So guys, if this is your first time watching, remember to like and share that stream. That's one way to help us. The best way to help us shows become a member. You can do that through YouTube for a low price of $2.99. And another way, of course, is just to come back, stick around, put those comments in, and as you can see, this is basically, this isn't just two yahoos talking between each other, two yahoos talking between each other and the audience. This is designed to be heavily based on engagement with the audience. We're trying to have a conversation, all of us together, not just Nico, or what your politics are. Doesn't matter where you sit on the political spectrum. We're going to be able to debate that here. The only thing we ask here, the only thing that matters is the soundness of the argument. Like we say around here, you got to show your work. It don't matter what you actually believe, as long as you can back it up. You're gonna be able to make your case here. So, other than that, folks, excellent show. Thank you for tuning in. And we will catch you Sunday night. And if you're here for the mashup Saturday night, you'll see us then as well. Peace.